All right, students, today we're going to focus on 2.2, solving inequalities, addition and subtraction. And our essential question for today is, how can you solve an inequality? The first thing we need to know, the first thing I would like you to do is pause this video and write all of this down. Make sure you leave some space because we are going to have to solve and graph. Equivalent inequalities, what is that? It means inequalities that have the same solution. So we're going to be talking about that. Equivalent inequalities. Equivalent means equal. All right, example 1 is going to ask you to solve and graph. So just like what we did in 1.1 and 1.2, we isolate the variable, get rid of this -5, so we're going to have to add 5 to both sides, and we end up with x is less than, we have a -3 and +5, which gives me +2. Okay, so our solution is x is less than 2. And don't forget, we are going to have to graph it. And I am going to require you to give me 3 numbers, that includes 2. So we have 2. We can choose 1 if you like, 3. Some students put 0 here, -2 and +2. That's fine as well. Okay. And so what are we looking at? We're looking at numbers that are less than 2. Take a look at our inequality symbol. We're not going to include 2, so it is going to be an open dot, and it's going to be to the left. Although all those numbers to the left are less than. And there's your answer. Again, I'm showing my work, and I'm solving and graphing. Okay, let's go and do the next one. Isolate the variable, add 3 to both sides, and you end up with x is less than or equal to 18. So we're going to create our number line. 18, 17, and 19. We have less than or equal to, so that means that we have a closed dot. Less than is to the left. That means that we are going to include 18 as part of our solution. Okay. All right, let's take a look at example 3, solve and graph. Exact same thing. Let's go ahead and isolate our variable, subtract 18 from both sides. X is greater than or equal to 3. Let's go ahead and draw a graph. We want to include 3, so you can put 2, 3, and 4 if you like. You can put 1, 2, 3. X is greater than or equal to 3. So it is going to be a closed dot, and all the numbers that are greater than are going to be to the right. Very nice. Okay, let's throw in some decimals. Isolate your variable. Let's get rid of this 2. You can call it 2, 2.0. And we're adding 2 negative numbers, so it's -7.5 is greater than our variable x. Now, some of you guys can graph. You can read it this way. You can graph it that way if you like, if you know how to read it. But we're used to the variable on the left-hand side, so I'm actually going to switch this. X is, okay, I'm going to read it to you. -7.5 is greater than x. That means x is less than -7.5. So it doesn't matter which, you don't have to make the variable on the left-hand side, but it's up to you. You just have to be able to know how to read it and understand it. So what does that mean? It means, let's see, I'm just going to choose some numbers, -10, -7.2, and 0. And did I just put, oh, sorry, negative 7.2. Okay, it is an open dot, and x is less than, so everything to the left is less than. Open dot to the left. All right, there's your answer. Okay, in this video, we are actually combining 2.2 and 2.3. So we are done with our 2.2 notes. Let's go ahead and focus our attention on 2.3. We are solving inequalities using multiplication and division. Okay, so stop the video, pause the video, go ahead and write out the outline. Our essential question for today is going to be, once again, how can you solve an inequality? So we are solving and graphing, very similar, but we are using multiplication and division in this section. Multiplication and division. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is isolate our variable, and we want to get rid of that number, which is 4. So I'm going to multiply each side by 4. Okay, and we end up with a negative 16 is greater than x. Again, if you know how to read it, negative 16 is greater than x. That means x is less than negative 16. You can rewrite it. Don't forget, we need to graph it. Give me 3 numbers. Again, I'm just going to choose negative 20, negative 16, and 0. It is an open dot above negative 16, and we know x is less than that. So all our numbers that are less than negative 16, that means the arrow is to the left. Okay. All right. Let's keep it moving. B. Isolate the variable, get rid of this 2. So we're going to divide each side by 2. N is greater than or equal to negative 7. So that number is larger than or equal to negative 7. So all the numbers that are larger. Let's use negative 10, negative 7, and 0. It is a closed dot. We want to include negative 7. And all the numbers that are larger or greater or to the right. Okay. Okay, there's something special about example 2. Pay close attention, students, especially in 2.3, especially if you have a quiz or a test. It's not going to tell you, oh, this is from 2.3. It's going to basically say solve and graph. So if you encounter something like example 2A and B in this little cloud area, please write it down. It says if you multiply or divide by a negative number, negative is the key word, you need to change your inequality sign. If you don't change the inequality sign, your answer is incorrect and your graph is incorrect. That is a rule. It is a mathematical rule, and we need to follow it. If we don't follow it, we're going to get the wrong answer. Okay? All right, so isolate your variable. Get rid of that negative 3. So we're going to multiply each side by a negative 3. The bells and the whistles and the horns are going off. The siren is going off. That means that if you multiply or divide, in this case we're multiplying by a negative number, we are going to have to change the sign. So I'm going to multiply these two, and we have a negative 6. Change your sign. This is the less than symbol. Now we have greater than our variable y. Okay. Solve and graph. I know how to read it. Negative 6. Negative 7, and we'll call this negative 5. It is an open dot, and we know that negative 6 is greater than y. That means y is less than negative 6. So all the numbers that are less than negative 6, that's the direction that we want to put it. If you want to rewrite this as y is less than negative 6, then you can do that. You don't have to, but here are your 2 answers. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the last one for today. Divide by -5. Again, the sirens, the horns are going off. We are going to change this symbol. And we now have a +9. Okay. If you multiply or divide by a negative number, you must change the inequality sign. And let's go ahead and graph. We have +9, 8, 10. It is a closed dot. All the numbers, whoops, I should have used purple. Okay. All the numbers that are less than or equal to 9 is to the left. And there's your answer.